Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. You know, in the last few years, electric vehicles have become way more popular, especially in the US. I mean, you can specifically thank Tesla for that. However, 2021 is going to be the year of electrification because we're going to see a lot of new products coming from all other manufacturers that are not Tesla. Now, of course, what makes Tesla so special is the fact that you can take their vehicles on long road trips because of their extensive supercharging network, which is also easy to use and hugely reliable. Now, as you can see, the vehicle behind me is not a Tesla. This is the latest electric car from Kia. This is the 2021 Kia Niro Electric, or Kia Niro EV. It's the full electric version of the Niro, which is offered in hybrid and of course plug-in hybrid. This one here has a 64 kilowatt hour battery pack. It offers up 201 horsepower, and the EPA says you'll go a maximum of 239 miles on a full charge. Right now it's around 30 degrees out here. I have the battery pack at around 99% charge and it's showing 240 miles. On a full charge, I've seen this thing show up to 250 miles, so that's pretty good range. It's matching the range that you're going to get from a Tesla Model Y standard range and of course a Model 3 standard range. Now in today's video, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to take the Niro to two DC fast charging stations, an EVgo station about 50 miles south of my house, and then we're going to double back to an Electrify America station, which is around probably 80 miles north of that EVgo station. We're going to find out at the end of this video, is the Niro a comfortable electric car to drive on the highway, and will I be able to DC fast charge this vehicle without any issues? Stay tuned to find out. So to start off this test, let me first get a couple of facts of the Niro EV out of the way. Remember, this is a car that came out back in 2019. The Niro, the first gen, of course, this current gen came out back in 2017. And as you can see, we've got 236 miles of range showing on the speedometer right now, or on the instrument panel. This car, when I first got into it, showed 242 miles of full charge, but of course I've been driving it around town getting some of my other filming done. Now this car that I'm sitting in is the Niro EV EX Premium model. Now the Premium model is the top of the line version of the electric. Remember, this car is only for sale in 14 states because it's designed mostly to be kind of like a compliance electric vehicle for Kia. The company is working on a next generation Niro based off of the Habanero concept that they showed a couple years ago. That'll be showing up for 2022. But you should know that this car, as tested, is $47,090. It's got a cold weather package that includes an actual dedicated heat pump and a heated steering wheel, which is nice because you can't even get a heat pump in a vehicle like the Ford Mach-E, which Ford decided not to put a heat pump. Tesla finally started adding them to their latest crop of vehicles. Now I'm going to primarily drive this car with it in eco mode because I'm trying to maximize my range as much as possible. This is one of the most efficient EVs on the market, although Tesla still kind of takes that honor. What I am noticing at higher speeds, the Niro Electric does have some wind noise that I'm hearing kind of rushing into the cabin, which does make the driving experience not quite as pleasant as it could be as some of the more premium electric cars. Now in terms of the Niro as just a regular car, it's still a pretty practical hatchback. Remember, the rear seat offers around 36 inches of legroom. The cargo area offers around 19 cubic feet with the second row up. If you fold down the second row seats, you get around 53 cubic feet of space. Remember, the 64 kilowatt hour battery pack completely lines the floor of this vehicle, which, you know, is pretty competitive. This is competitive, of course, with the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the Nissan Leaf Plus, the Hyundai Kona, which shares a platform with this vehicle. The Niro Electric, remember, is still just a front-wheel drive vehicle. They do not offer all-wheel drive or a dual motor version or a rear drive version of this car. Now those of you who are used to Tesla vehicles, when you pop the hood, you're probably hoping to find a frunk. Unfortunately, there is no frunk under the hood of this vehicle because remember, the Niro is designed to incorporate an engine as well, a gasoline engine. So when you lift up the hood of this vehicle, you actually see all the electric motor componentry and all the just the wires and cables. So that does affect, of course, the cargo capacity, but thankfully there is a good amount of space in the backseat of this vehicle. The Niro itself is pretty small at 172 inches long. This is about 8 inches shorter than something like a Toyota RAV4 or a Honda CR-V or a Honda Civic. So this is a small hatchback that offers 7 or 6.1 inches of ground clearance. Kia likes to market the Niro as an SUV, but it's definitely not an SUV. It's more like a hatchback with slightly more ground clearance. Now, of course, the Niro has a $47,000 as tested price, but this vehicle does qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit, which does lower the price, of course, to just under $40,000. Now, at that price range, you could look at cars like a Model 3 Standard Range Plus, which is around $38,000. That's what the price of the base Niro EX starts at, around $39 grand. A Tesla Model Y Standard Range rear drive, which just came out, starts at around $43,000. So again, the Tesla vehicles are very, very tempting because they offer right around the same range as this car. They are rear-wheel drive, which makes them a little bit more balanced, a little bit more fun to drive. And of course, Tesla gives you their extensive supercharging network, and they have just their much better infotainment systems with their 15-inch tablets, which I still consider to be one of the best ones in the industry. Now, Kia did make some updates to the Niro for 2020. You can see on the inside of my particular tester here, it's got a massive 10.25-inch touchscreen here. This is, of course, Kia's EVgo infotainment system. It's not the latest one that I've tested in the new Kia Sorento or Kia K5, but I like the fact that it's now a widescreen. You can see there is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's not the wireless integration that you find on their newest systems, of course. But the screen does look much better, of course, versus the 8-inch screen that you got on the previous generation. That 8-inch is still standard on the EX, but this 10.25 inch is standard on this EX Premium. You also get a nice Harman Kardon stereo system, which is actually pretty decent sounding, and the overall interface in this vehicle is pretty easy to use. And if you guys like traditional hard knobs and buttons, the Niro definitely is the one you want to go for, because it's got a volume knob, tuning knob, dual or climate control knobs over here for the single zone climate control, and of course you have a lot of buttons here on the steering wheel, which help with ease of use while you're driving. One of the things I like about the Niro Electric is it does come with 3 levels of regenerative braking. Now, you can customize the regenerative braking in this vehicle, and you can kind of tell the car to automatically start in level 1 or level 0, level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 is what I have it in most of the time. That's the strongest regen. And when I lift off the throttle, it does slow down a pretty good amount. It's not as strong as the one-pedal driving you're going to find in some Tesla vehicles. However, if you pull and hold the left paddle, it actually gives you maximum regen, which that to me feels like the same Tesla one-pedal driving. I just wish that Kia gave you that maximum regen all the time. It would be nice to be able to just do the one-pedal driving all the time. But the level 3 regen is pretty strong, and it's stronger than most of the competitors in this vehicle, like the Nissan Leaf and of course the Chevrolet Bolt. The other interesting aspect about the Niro Electric is, even though this is the all-electric version, out of the 3 other variants of the Niro family, the hybrid, the plug-in hybrid, and the electric, this is the performance-oriented model, because remember, electric motor, instantaneous torque, 201 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. That is nearly 60 or 70 more horsepower versus the standard hybrid and plug-in hybrid, which offers around 139 horsepower now, which means when this vehicle is in sport mode, which I plop it into sport mode here, it does lower the range. It went down from 233 to 219. However, I'm noticing right away the throttle response got a lot more sensitive. The car is unleashing its full, nearly 300 pound-feet of torque. So even on the highway at highway speeds, I put my foot down and you can hear it makes this little whirring noise, but this car will get up to speed so quickly and so effortlessly and so instantaneously. And it's just amazingly quick. 0 to 60 should be around the 6.5 second range, which is a good 2.5 seconds faster than the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid. So those of you who have never driven an electric car, you think electric cars are slow or boring, even this economy-minded hatchback Kia with its all-electric powertrain will still put a huge smile on my face. And this thing actually handles extremely well. It has relatively good steering. It's got a really nicely tuned suspension. The ride quality is also still compliant and firm. It's just, it needs to be a little bit quieter here because of the no electric motor, because of no gasoline engine noise. I'm just noticing that I'm hearing a lot more road and wind noise creep in. There could be more sound deadening materials, which at 3,850 pounds, this is a lot heavier versus the regular hybrid and plug-in hybrid because of the big battery pack. So Kia, you could have just added a little bit more sound deadening materials. I'm imagining the next gen Niro will probably try to go a little bit more upmarket, with rumors of it having dual motor capability, which means it'll have all-wheel drive. Now I'm heading south right now, heading toward Towson, Maryland, where there is an EVgo station there that offers up to 50 kilowatts of DC fast charging. Now, of course, that's half the capacity that this car will accept at up to 100 kilowatts, but you still should be able to achieve an 80% charge in about an hour and 15 minutes. Now, I've got another 30 or so miles to head down there, so we're going to keep driving the Niro Electric. We're going to see if this thing is, comfortable on my long trip, but really what I'm curious to know is I've never been to this EVgo charging station. Hopefully, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, it doesn't give me any issues when I try to DC fast charge this vehicle. So let's do a little range update now. The car is showing 218 miles. I've gone a total of 17.6 miles. It's averaging 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is not wonderful, although my RAV4 Prime that I own has constantly been showing 2.1 miles, so this is a little bit better. But remember, this is a much smaller vehicle. Now, the Niro does offer some of Kia's latest driver assistance tech. It does have full speed range adaptive cruise control. It has active lane keep assist. To activate the system, just turn on cruise control here and then just push down the set button here. When you do that, you can also go into a little driver assistance screen over there, and I'm going to increase my speed here. But you can see it'll maintain this 75 mile per hour cruise, even if there's a car that shows up in front of me. And there's a little steering wheel icon that's lit up as green right now. You can see the Niro should steer itself. It should keep itself centered in the lane. Now, I'm technically supposed to keep my hands on the wheel. The car will sense when I'm not touching the wheel. But let's see how long this thing will actually let me keep hands off the wheel while it keeps me centered in the lane. All right, that was probably around like 15-20 seconds before it started to yell at me to put my hands back on the wheel. And all you have to really do is just touch the system. The system just wants you to let it know that you are awake, you are alert, you are paying attention, you are ready to take full control when necessary. And if you completely ignore the system when it's telling you to put your hands on the wheel, it'll start beeping at you and it'll completely shut the system off. So my recommendation, don't ignore it. When it tells you to put your hands back on the wheel, just kind of let it know that you're alive. And we're coming up here on this curve. I want to see how well this car actually follows this curve. I'm not going to touch the wheel. I'm just going to let it steer itself. It's using the camera and the radar sensors, of course, to keep it centered in the lane. And you can see Kia's does a pretty good job. Now, this is a pretty gentle curve. I've noticed on steeper curves, the car is a little bit more aggressive with steering the car, but it does a pretty good job considering this is still very much in its infancy. And it doesn't have the ability to lane change for you like some of the more premium brands. But don't be surprised to see Kia add that in the next year or so. So quick range update. We are about 7 minutes away from the EVgo DC fast charging station. And the car is showing 187 miles of total range. We've driven 43.6 miles since I left my house this morning, where it had nearly a full charge, 99%. Now keep in mind, if you do the numbers, the 43 miles that I've driven with 187 miles left, this is showing 231-ish miles of total range. When I left, the car's trip computer was actually showing 240 miles of range. So we've lost a little bit of range in our drive down. Remember, driving on the highway, it's going to be the most inefficient for electric vehicles, and the temperature is still around 40 degrees outside, so it's on the colder end. I've got the heat on, I've got the heated seat on, heated steering wheel on, of course. So this is very much a real-world test. Electric vehicles do lose a little bit of their range in the cold. So I imagine if I redid this test where it's, a nicer, warmer day, we should get slightly better versus the EPA's numbers. All right, so we're about 2 minutes away from the EVgo DC fast charging station. The car is showing 179 miles of range remaining. I've gone nearly 50 miles total. So it's not quite as good as what the trip computer was showing when I first left my house, but I've never been to this EVgo fast charging station, so it says it's right off the highway. It just says it's a half a mile away. So let's see how easy it is to find. And I love it when I get off of an exit ramp and the light is green. And this is where the regen braking of an electric car really comes in handy. I don't even have to touch the brakes there. It just kind of slows down for me, and I'm also getting some juice back into the battery pack. I love the noise this thing makes too. When it gets below 20 miles an hour, you can literally hear the whirring noise that it's creating. Even in eco mode, this thing will put a smile on my face because it's just so responsive and so peppy. So it says it's over at a Walgreens, which is technically up ahead here. So we will go ahead and turn left up ahead here into the Walgreens. Now let's see how easy it is for this place to find. The app on EVgo's website told me that it was behind it, and there it is right there, just like it said. As we approach it. Now they do offer a CHAdeMO plug here, but who in the heck uses a CHAdeMO plug? Most people are using the CCS fast charger, which the Kia's is actually in the front of the vehicle. All right, now I'm not gonna actually fully charge this vehicle here because I still have 74% battery pack, but I'm gonna just plug it in. I'm gonna see if it's actually going to accept a charge, if I'm gonna have any issues with trying to get it to charge. But we're gonna actually really DC fast charge this vehicle when we get up to the Electrify America station, which is about 80 miles from here. So as you can see here, when you approach an EVgo station, for the most part, you just select the one you want and it tells you to plug it into the vehicle. So this is the CCS port, which is a DC fast charge. The Niro's is all the way at the front here. Open this up. You gotta pop open these two ports here. That was a lot harder than I thought it would be to actually plug that in. And then it tells you it's connected, so just hit start. Now I'm actually using my phone to pay for this. All I had to do was just go into the EVgo app and just hit slide to charge, and there it goes. It's starting to charge right now. I love how they named this charger Patience, because you really need to have patience when these things you're trying to use this. But here we go, it actually is working, and it even tells you on the app your vehicle is now charging. They charge you 30 cents per minute, which can get pretty expensive if you guys leave the car sitting here, and they also charge you an idle fee, which can also get expensive. But let's get back in the car here, because the car is telling me that to get to 100% on this 50 kilowatt DC fast charge, it'll take about an hour and 56 minutes, which doesn't make sense. However, in just 10 minutes, we're gonna get to an 80% charge, which is pretty cool. That is pretty fast. Technically, electric vehicles on these DC fast chargers, they charge very efficiently up to 80%. So when you get to past 80%, it's just gonna slow down the rate of charge significantly. All right, so I was here a total of 5 minutes, and EVgo told me that it cost around $1.27, and it added about, how many miles? 194. It added about 15 miles of range, which is pretty impressive considering I was here for about 5 minutes. So, like I said, I wasn't gonna fully charge this vehicle here, but I was pretty impressed with how easy EVgo's system was to use, and it actually worked the very first time. So we're gonna drive back up north, and we're gonna head over to an Electrify America station, and we're gonna see if that one gives me any trouble. And we're actually going to DC fast charge there, because by then, I'll probably have less than 100 miles of range. So now we're on our way to the Electrify America station, which is in Carlisle. It's about another 30 miles or so. The car is showing 114 miles of range. As you can see, I've waited until it got a little bit dark because I wanted to also mention one of my biggest gripes with this car, and that's the fact that we're driving a top-of-the-line EX Premium, and as you can see on the road, it has halogen projector headlights. That's right, a $47,000 electric car with these very old-school tech headlights. And Kia, honestly, I guess they probably figured this car is such a low volume vehicle that they decided to just leave the projector halogens on it, because if you guys go for the plug-in version or the regular hybrid, those are actually available with full LED headlights if you go for the top of the line touring grades. Now I'm going to anticipate we're probably going to have around 80 miles or so of range left when we get to Carlisle, but I'll be anxious to see if the Electrify America station actually is going to work as advertised, because that's one of the stations where I constantly have problems getting the vehicle to hook up and charge and accept a charge, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed here. So now with 67 miles left to spare, I am finally getting to the Electrify America station. I've never been to this station before, so I've had my fair share of good luck and bad luck with Electrify America, so we'll see how it goes. I really like how they look as well. I didn't realize they were lit up green, which kind of makes them look a lot more noticeable and futuristic. But we've got 32% battery, and apparently this car can get to 80% in just an hour. So let's see how it works. Okay, so now that we're at the Electrify America station here, first I have to shut off the car. So they try to make it pretty easy where you just plug in the car first. I also really like these green lights. I didn't realize that they were doing that when the cars, or when it's lit up at night. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a couple of things here. It says network error right here. I also noticed the charger on this side is also not working. It's just showing this big black screen. So out of the four, 3 of them seem to be working, but it says plug in first. So we're gonna open that and then open both covers, because one of them is for the CCS. And it says this one delivers up to 150 kilowatts, which this car can accept up to 100. This is a lot harder to get in there than the last Tesla I tried. It says connecting to vehicle. Credit card mobile pay reader currently unavailable. Please call customer service to start a session. Okay, I guess we're gonna try another plug or another station. Wow, okay.
Are we gonna get home? That's the question.
All right, let's try, that one's working, so I guess we'll try this one. Let's try it. Second time's hopefully the charm. Let's see. So this one actually has a CHAdeMO connector. Who still uses a CHAdeMO? The CCS delivers up to 150, and that's another reason why CHAdeMO is being phased out, because they only deliver up to 50 kilowatts.
Let's try this again.
Okay. Plugged in. Connecting to vehicle. Okay, so now it says I need to insert my credit card. Okay.
It starts going off.
I know, like, don't show that. All right, so now we are finally starting to charge this. It's saying it's delivering 53 kilowatts right now, and they charge you at around 16 cents per minute. So my guess is, all right, so now it's saying 43 minutes left until we get to 80%. So now it's saying around 43 minutes until we get to 80%, which is okay. I was hoping it'd be a little bit quicker, but keep in mind the Niro only charges at a maximum of 100 kilowatts. However, right now, this charger is only delivering 53. So it really just depends on a lot of factors. It depends on temperature, which right now it's cold outside. So as you can see, you can obviously take a long road trip with other vehicles besides a Tesla, thanks to companies like Electrify America, like EVgo. Sadly, Electrify America still has their fair share of problems, because as you can see, that charger is not working. This charger is working, however, the credit card machine doesn't work. That charger, the credit card machine is working, however, the charger says unavailable. It keeps cycling back and forth. And the one that I'm plugged into right now is the only one that's technically completely working. The other ones, I have to call them, deal with their customer service line to get it actually working. Now, after spending the day kind of doing this little road trip, I'm pretty pleased with the Kia Niro's performance. It's a pretty comfortable, easy to drive hatch. Right now it's accepting 53 kilowatts of charge. It says it'll get to 80% in around 30 minutes left, and it started out at around 30% charge. So obviously, with Electrify America really ramping things up, I'm seeing that they have around 3,500 stations total across the US available now. They keep adding more and more every day. They're still behind Tesla. I think Tesla, the last time I checked their numbers, they were around 12,000 chargers across the nation. So give Electrify America a couple more years, you'll really start to see them popping up. And I think that putting them at a Sheetz is probably a really great place. Walmart is also where I'm seeing them put these charging stations. But if you guys are looking to buy an EV and you're a little skeptical about being able to drive these things on a cross-country trip, know that these chargers are popping up every day. And if you're willing to spend another 30 to 40 minutes here letting it recharge, it is kind of a cool experience. It's different. You do have to kind of make a change when you're doing road trips, but I think that a lot of people, once they get the charging station infrastructure out there, once they've quickened the charging times to around 15 to 20 minutes, I really see these vehicles replacing gasoline vehicles as we go into the next decade. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this overview or this little road trip video with the 2021 Kia Niro EV. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.